Hey again F1 fans, it's Neil here from SNTV, and this week we've got somebody extremely special sitting down with us to discuss one of the most important topics in the world right now. I'm not talking about COVID-19, I'm not even talking about Black Lives Matter, I'm talking about mental health. Something that's really been on our minds all of our lives, for every single one of us. But only up until the last few years has it become something we've become more open and able to talk about. Daniel Ricciardo, the main man from the Renault DP World F1 team, sits down with us to open up and discuss why it's so important for you to also open up. How important is it to say to someone and mean it, are you okay?
Very important, absolutely. It sounds, so simple, and but it's sometimes the simple things we miss, and it's I think opening up, talking, and that's why it's having people, whether it's obviously that's why it helps having close friends, close family, but also in your workplace, having people that you bond with and you trust and you feel happy to talk to and open up and allow yourself to feel a little bit vulnerable. That's okay. And I think that it's people understanding that the days of having too much pride in yourself, it's a bit of an old school mentality. I think there's everyone goes through ups and downs, no matter how good or cool your life may seem, and maybe your problem may not seem as big as someone else's, but it's still there, and I think things can still eat away at you and build up. So I think just having a release and having at least somebody to talk to is really helpful. As
guys in particular, I think we're probably the worst offenders for this, don't you?
Absolutely.
And you think as well, you're in a world where speed, strength, this macho image is really important almost to the bravado and what you do. But it's also super important now, I think, in this growing age of consciousness, even around top level sport, to just let people in. Do you think, though, that with F1, there is room for this consciousness to grow a little bit and for people to really take this conversation seriously at this top end where you're operating?
Yeah, I think not only in F1, I think everywhere really, because it's still it's still a fairly new topic, or at least, that's been openly talked about. And it's, I guess mental health seems like a more easy phrase, but in the past it's been, whether it's labeled as depression or there's a few other words, but it's like, yeah, it's foreign, and it's when something's new and you're kind of opening a new book to people, they're like, I maybe life was easier when this book was closed, but no, I think just the more people that start to talk about it, and again, people, whether it's in sports or, I think if someone looks up to someone, and then they start to talk about something that they thought, oh, wow, how are they able to go through this? I didn't think that was the case. Then it obviously, opens up everyone else to be, okay, well, if they're talking about it, then this must be fine. And it helps encourage that conversation. So, and as you touched on, with males, I think in particular, it's, we're too macho for that. It's like, I can't talk about how I feel or if I'm a bit emotional or a bit down. So it's just, again, it's the way we were kind of brought up until now. But I think it's not as daunting or overwhelming as it seems or sounds. It can be, as you touched on, very simple to just say, hey, how you doing? Are you okay?
The first time I actually met you was Belgium 2018. First race back after that summer break, right?
Yeah.
And when I saw you, I was like, there's a lot on this guy's mind. Is it something that you've consciously, you think, taken on board throughout your life to just air your feelings? Or did you at that time reach out for advice on what maybe you should be saying to people like me who was sitting there with my microphone ready to talk to you?
You always, whether it's friends or people you work with, you're always going to get some advice. I think that's natural, but I don't know. I probably struggle not to be honest. Like I feel I'm a very honest person, and I struggle to, there's always little white lies, but never, I can't blatantly really lie in someone's face, or like, I don't know. I'm probably just the way I am. I think I'm probably too nice, therefore I'm honest, you know. I remember actually, so Spa, I think it was 2018, after the race, I think my race didn't last very long from memory. I think I had damage on the first lap, and it was not a good day of racing for me. But I remember I did a couple interviews and I was like a bit down and obviously complaining about how bad my Sunday was. But then I got to a point where I'd done a few and then I was like, all right, the next interview I'm just going to keep repeating the same stuff. I was like, I'm going to sound like someone who's just miserable and spoiled and I don't know. So I kind of snapped out of it and I just said, look, yes, it was a pretty bad day for me in my workplace, but you know, it's in the scheme of things, I've still been able to compete today in Formula One. You know, like I'm living my dream. So a bad day is still not really a bad day. You know, I'm sure there's a lot more terrible things going on in the world for me to be complaining about this. So I think perspective as well, that was, you know, something I don't think anyone really taught me. I think I just always had it, you know, and I always feel like I'm a glass half full. That's the thing? Yeah. That's just the way I go about it. And that's the reality. Like I am very lucky, you know, I also grew up in a beautiful country, you know, so I think everything in life has been pretty cool, you know, for me up until now. So yes, you have your days, but I try not to be too, I don't know, negative about anything, because really life's pretty good.
So we've spoken about, you know, you in that situation of needing to reach out, but also when you're somebody who's on the other side, it's also really important to make yourself visible and ready to listen to somebody else. During lockdown, I hope you don't mind me opening personally as well here, but someone in my family really was suffering with a depressive state. And I think it was because of this situation. And it taught me how to be there for someone. Mm-hmm. Can I ask you to reflect on your own experience of whether, you know, you were aware in a situation you had to be there for somebody else and what those triggers were?
So I've learned to become a good listener to some friends, and it's actually a problem of mine is I love talking. Like, so listening was not really always natural for me, because I always wanted to be the one talking or the center of attention. So, but actually getting someone to talk and feel that they can put all their trust in you is a really nice feeling. And, you know, it encourages you to listen. And I think like a human instinct is it feels good giving or being able to help in some way, shape or form. So I think by doing that, by listening and knowing that this friend has been able to share their feelings and they feel better because of it, it gives you that feel-good feeling, the feel-good factor inside you. So I did. I also helped out a friend. I don't want to say helped out. I guess I helped out, but I don't see it as help. You know, again, if you're listening or trying to do something, it doesn't seem that courageous. But I did have a family friend back home who suffered quite a bit, and then she started up her mental health foundation is the better word. So I learned a little bit about it through there as well. It was all very new for me at the time, so this was going back, I guess, three years ago, and it was one of those ones for me as well. I was like, oh, what am I getting into? Like, I don't know if this is my place, but I think just kind of being there and trying to show some support and, again, to listen, it goes a long way. So did you get that, like, feel-good factor just from knowing that they could release some of their emotions on you?
I really did. It was someone really close to my family, so I was the same as you, actually, in the respect that I didn't want to say, it's not like the same as saving a life, right? That's completely different, but making someone realise there is life. Mm-hmm. See what I mean? Yeah. And just reinstating that belief. That was a wonderful thing. Yeah. That was a really cool thing, man. And you do that to everyone at race weekends. You actually do that, right? these guys will testify, I think. And that leads me on to this next point. Throughout lockdown, lots of F1 fans were without, obviously, our favourite thing in the world, right, which is you guys driving around on a weekend and we're all sat there on our sofas, you know, enjoying. And a lot of people were in a bad place. Do you have a message to people out there in the world who may have suffered with their mental health in lockdown that maybe would perk them up somewhat to hear from you?
Yeah, I can see how, you know, would have been a vulnerable time, you know, especially, again, I was I think very lucky, you know, I was out on a farm and I had space and fresh air, and I had a lot of luxuries for the situation, where, you know, even if I was locked up in an apartment for 3 months, I think, I would have at some point just been like, all right, when's this going to end? And for sure it would have got you down. So, you know, one thing I would say is, or an encouraging piece of advice in a way is physical training. I think physical training is so good. Like I'm kind of forced to do it because of my job, but I feel even if I stopped racing F1 tomorrow, I would still keep up the training, because for your mind it's so good. And obviously it's nice to see yourself, you know, you look in the mirror, and whether you've lost weight or you put on some muscle or you feel good about yourself, you know, from a visual, but more importantly, I think mentally it just clears your mind. And if I got things built up, if I'm not feeling great about whatever, the racing or situation, I'm, you know, like a run, a simple thing as a run can be awesome. And I feel when your body's under some like physical stress, you don't really have room for other thoughts. It's like you're kind of just focused on that. And I feel like the physical stress feels like it pushes away the probably emotional stress on you. And it's a bit of a cleanse. So, and, you know, I think as well, you don't feel you need a gym, don't feel you need, you know, like, sorry to the people that run gyms, I'm not trying to throw you out of business, but if you are in a small apartment, like, you can improvise, you can be your own, you know, motivator. So, but it helps. I don't know if I went off topic there, but it helps.
It was good. It was on topic. I think what we need really is to run that parkour video you made over the top of that sequence. That beautiful, poetic answer there, and just see you chucking it about the farm. That was great. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. That's where, like, I needed, you know, two of my good friends to encourage me to start doing these challenges and do this, you know. So you certainly, you know, it helps having some people to, of course, push you to do something. But yeah, the silly parkour video or that, it was, you know, a bit of a nudge from a couple mates, and then, you know, so you just get creative, whether it's silly or not. It can make your day quite a lot nicer.
Thank you ever so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and thank you for opening up as well.
No worries.
It's not always easy.
No worries. You're welcome. Thanks.
Something we all have in common. We're all human. We all have feelings and we all have emotions. We all have the ability to reach out and say, "Are you okay?" You never know, it might just make someone's day. If you're watching our content and want to use it on your network or platform, get in touch with us via the contact details at sntv.com. See you soon.